This man's phone is no doubt burning up, so I greatly appreciate him joining me on the Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line right here the day after the scouting combine, 1 week before the negotiating window, don't call it tampering window, opens up. My colleague from the NFL Media Group, Ian Rapoport. How are you, Ian?
I'm good, Rich. Long time no see.
I know. Saw you last night after dinner and dessert, and everyone's like, let's go to the bar for some more. And I'm like, I've got to do a show. Like, I got to fly in. I made it here just in time, spoiling Brockman's party. He was ready to actually start the show. He's ready to do that.
Yeah, I also went to my room without having a beer. That's actually not true. I had a beer, but it was a lovely night. It was a lovely week.
Great.
I enjoyed hanging out. And, let's get back to work.
All right, let's do it. Where do things stand right now with the Packers, as you and I were talking, Ian?
They are awaiting Aaron Rodgers' decision. And I know Rodgers is being criticized in some places about taking a long time. On the other hand, I get it, because it is a very, very interesting and complicated decision for Aaron Rodgers. And, you know, it's does he go back to the Green Bay Packers? Does he ask the team to work out a trade with him for somewhere? And I believe that somewhere seems the most likely somewhere would be the Denver Broncos, which is, you know, honestly the same sort of place it has been for some time. And then, you know, if you're Rodgers, some of this is going to be, you know, if he is going to stay with the Packers, he wants them to be able to run it back and bring all the guys back. And that's one reason why he stayed 3 or 4 extra days with Matt LaFleur after the season to do some long-term and short-term planning. But it all kind of wraps up into one, and it is a very complicated situation for the Packers.
Well, so we can guess who the guys are he wants to run it back with, right? I mean, we're
yeah, I mean, one of them is the best receiver in football.
Right, and there's a franchise tag day tomorrow, so
right.
That is something that I guess it's all happening at once in Green Bay right now.
I mean, hopefully, you know, he doesn't have to tell the Packers anything. I mean, he has to eventually, but he doesn't have to tell them anything by tomorrow. The thought was that he would do it by tomorrow, though, so they know what they need to do with Davante Adams. The other side of things are like, it sort of doesn't matter because, you know, presumably they're going to tag him anyway, Adams I'm talking about,
right?
Because he is the best receiver in football, and if you're a team, you'd prefer to have a great receiver on your team than to play for another team. So, you know, it's not like he actually needs to let them know. It's just that's when everyone thought there would be a decision. So as someone who would prefer to know what Aaron Rodgers is doing, I also would like him to make a decision, but he has not asked me for my input.
I understand that. Now, we say here on this show, Ian, that in the parlance of our business, a franchise tag is either applied or slapped on a player based on the way the player receives that franchise tag. That would be a slap. Right. That would be a slap for Davante Adams, right?
That would be a slap. I think that's fair to say. And consider the history here. You know, they were talking about a long-term deal during last offseason, really through, I think it was through the start of training camp, right? Because I had a report that I think was around late July. I can't remember when it was. But anyway, it was sometime during training camp where Davante Adams angrily cut off talks with the Packers and has not actually resumed long-term contract extension talks yet. He would like a long-term deal. He wants to be the highest-paid receiver in the NFL, as he should, given his talent level. But the problem is the DeAndre Hopkins deal is a weird one. Remember, it was a short-term extension, but it was $27 million in new money per year, and it has, in a way, become like a stumbling block for receivers, because if you want to be the highest-paid, you got to eclipse that. But that number is so high that it's made it a really complicated deal to do, and they haven't gotten anywhere as far as doing it.
Ian Rapoport here on the Rich Eisen Show. So having been in Indianapolis, and, you know, the number of people that whisper in my ear that I talk to must be dwarfed by the number of people that you do. What is the sense of Arizona and Kyler Murray right now and how that might play out? Ian?
Well, I think most people think it's going to be okay. I mean, there is a deal that they could do, and I think Kyler Murray, I was reading this in somewhere, I think it was Albert Breer said today that Kyler would like a deal by the draft. And I understand that, but I feel like if you're Kyler Murray, you'd rather wait until as long as possible as you get up to the season, because maybe there's another quarterback deal that gets done somewhere. Maybe Lamar gets done. Who knows? But anyway, sounds like he wants it before the draft, and they can do a deal. It's hard to do those deals sort of at gunpoint. But I guess, the numbers are pretty clearly defined, right? You have Dak at 40. You have Patrick Mahomes at 45. You have Josh Allen at 43. You can find a deal somewhere in there. So, if he really wants one, he is their guy, so they can do a deal. So my guess is it's going to be okay. But the amount of saber-rattling from Eric Burkhart was certainly noticed and mentioned by several people in Indianapolis.
Well, I mean, Rodgers is going to reset it unless he's considered just a totally different cat because of who he is and back-to-back MVPs.
Right.
But so
yeah,
what are you hearing?
Rodgers will reset it.
Well, what's he going to get?
And
what do you think?
I mean, my guess is it would be he'll be the highest paid, no doubt about it. Could it get to 50? I think it could. That would be very high, but he is Aaron Rodgers. So, and I think if you're going to have a player who's the first $50 million quarterback, like Aaron Rodgers would be a pretty good one to do it. He's very good. It also sort of depends on, if you look at the Patrick Mahomes deal. Remember, it was a 10-year deal, but it's basically broken up into two pieces. There's the part of the deal where he makes $40 million, then there's the part of the deal where he makes $50 million. The last 5 years, he averages $50 million. So theoretically, that's the part that Rodgers would want to break. So my guess is he ends up at 50 and change to do a new deal. And, it's a lot of money, but he's Aaron Rodgers, and it probably will end up being a bargain anyway.
So where does the Kyler Murray urgency come from then? What's your best guess as to why, this the scrubbing of the Instagram account happened at all, and then the statement is put out the Monday of Combine Week, and now you're hearing they want it done by the draft? What is the urgency, do you think?
Well, I think this started with the angst and frustration from after the season. I would assume those end of the year meetings with the team personnel, where everyone comes in the day after the game is frustrated and talks about how to get things better, but also expresses some frustration. I would imagine after a long season when nerves are frayed, that probably started the ball rolling there. So I think that's kind of where this started, was the sort of fallout from the end of the season, where they did what everyone feared they would do, which was limp to the finish and then lose. But I think he just wants it. I haven't been able to figure out any other reason except he believes that he deserves it and just wants it. And if you're the Cardinals, you might as well, as long as he's your guy, and I think we can pretty clearly say that he is, you might as well do a deal earlier rather than later, because you're going to do it anyway. So do it when the price is a little bit cheaper than it would be. But it doesn't matter. Either way, it's going to be very expensive.
Ian Rapoport, my colleague from the NFL Media Group, here on the Rich Eisen Show, day after the Combine. So 1 week from today, the story, do you think, will be what? The big splash, the big signing that takes one guy from one team to another? What do you think that might be? What's your crystal ball?
This is a pretty good free agent class. So today's Monday, so pretty good free agent class, but I'm not sure that it's really going to be like the actual free agents. There's not a ton of super splashy guys where when they sign, you'll say oh my God, I can't believe this guy signed with you. There'll be some news, obviously, but to me, a lot of this still will be about trades. Does Russell Wilson go anywhere? Does Jimmy Garoppolo go anywhere? How do the quarterbacks shake out? Does Deshaun Watson get traded? I feel like even with all of the, free agent stuff, the free agent signings, I do feel like the quarterbacks will lord over all of it. Hopefully it gets shaken out sooner rather than later so I can stop thinking about it, because it's only been a year.
Right.
But I think that's what sort of the big storylines will be. And
the quarterback market, how does it affected by what we just saw at the Combine? Who do you think is, into Pickett and Willis and maybe even Matt Corral? What do you think about that?
So I would say, judging from the, kind of the way the combine was, and there's some good quarterbacks, but I think it's safe to say there's no surefire, there's no Trevor Lawrence, there's no Zach Wilson where you'll say, I know I can get a quarterback so I don't have to trade for one. My sense is the quarterbacks this year almost won't matter when it comes to the draft. But when it comes to free agency, I should say. So in other words, no one is going to be able to say, oh, cool, I don't need to get a quarterback because I'm just going to draft this guy. There's no one that is a surefire, come in, start right away guy in the draft. So everyone is going to have to act as if they are not going to draft a quarterback, get their starter for next year, and then approach the draft and say, okay, should we get one or not? So, someone will sign Mitchell Trubisky probably to start or compete to start, and then maybe draft a quarterback as well or something like that.
Well, I heard Trubisky's going to get paid so much that he's the guy. That's what I'm hearing. What do you think?
I mean, there was a lot of those rumors in Indy. You don't know where those rumors come from.
Mm-hmm.
I do think he will be sort of top free agent on the market, but I don't know that anyone is going into the season being like, yes, we want Trubisky. Okay, we got him. We're good looking for a quarterback. Now, maybe he makes it that way, and that would be a pretty cool comeback story.
Right.
But I don't think that's the belief going in.
So what do you think, Ian Rapoport here on the Rich Eisen Show, what is the Steelers' plan? What do you think? What do you think about that one?
I think the Steelers' plan is to take a long look at the veterans, and if one makes sense, make a move, whether that's Jimmy Garoppolo or, Trubisky would be a potential name there. And if they don't get the guy they want, to go in the draft. I think they're looking at it, they would like to be done in the chase for quarterbacks, because I know that Kevin Colbert basically has told people that he did not want to retire without getting a next franchise starter for the Steelers. This is kind of a weird year, and I don't know who they're going to get that is going to make everyone think okay, we're done searching now.
Well, it sounds like Malik Willis to me. That's what it sounds like to me, to be honest.
Kenny Pickett shares a building with them. They know him extremely well.
Will he be available at 20 though? They'd have to trade up. They'd have to trade up to go get him.
20? Well, that's going to be an interesting storyline to follow, because everyone sort of tells me that the quarterback run will start late in the first round, but I've been doing this long enough. I know what's happened, right?
Right.
Oh yeah, the quarterbacks are late 20s, and it's well, maybe early 20s. And then if you're going to take him at, let's say the Steelers are going to take him at 20, they're going to go, okay, hang on, do we need to move up now? Because what if someone else? And then they'll all get drafted earlier than we think. So, might they have to move up to take him? Possible. That's kind of what I've been thinking about.
And then there's the mother lode, Ian Rapoport. Let's get to it right here on the Rich Eisen Show. The mother lode quarterback story isn't Aaron Rodgers, believe it or not. It just isn't. Even though he might get paid $50 million, he could wind up in Denver or whatever happens with the Packers. It's TB12, sir. It's TB12. Why?
Yeah.
What's with the door? What's the door still open? He goes on Fred Couples' podcast just as we get to Indianapolis, talking about that he's going to get through a little more vacation time.
Did not see that coming.
Now, he's sleeping in his old bed, in his old house, and when he gets through all that, then he'll see where he's at, right? And then Bruce Arians is just, even though I think that would probably be a Glazer family decision if Brady says, I want out, I want to come back, but not with you. Or maybe he comes back with them. What is going on with Tom Brady right now? What do you think?
Well, there's two things that are going on.
Okay.
First of all, I would assume, it sounds like, this is so dumb, but this is the way somebody who knows Brady very well described it to me. I guess Brady walks around with a jug of water all the time, right, to make sure that he's fully hydrated.
Sure.
And I made the joke to someone who knows him very well and has known him forever, I guess we can retire the jug. And this person looked at me like I was crazy and was like, oh, no, he's still got the jug, he's still in shape. He's still eating well. He's still doing the TB12 method or whatever, and he's still keeping himself hydrated in case. He's still doing all the things that he would do in case he wanted to return. I don't know if he's going to come back. I know it is at least possible, and I don't know where the level of possible is, but it is at least possible. I also know that Larry Fitzgerald still has not retired, And even last year when it became clear that he was not going to play for the Arizona Cardinals, he still was like, yeah, we'll see. I'm not retired. All of that. So, it's like these guys want to keep the door open. And maybe he's doing some of that too.
For what purpose? I mean, like they announce he's running lines with Jane Fonda 1 second, and then the next minute he's got the jug of water and his avocado ice cream, and and he's still sticking with the plan. Look, I didn't expect him to just suddenly go get a bag of jelly beans and just veg out on the couch, but this sounds like he wants to still play. I'll be very honest with you. This is definitely somebody who sounds like he still wants to play. And Arians, his responses when asked about, about the possibility of letting him go play elsewhere, you could see that really pissed him off. Like, you could see that. I
appreciate Bruce Arians
Me too.
So much.
Right.
Because it would be annoying if you go all in, you get Brady, you win the Super Bowl, and then if he wants to play somewhere else, for BA to be like, no, you should play for us or no. Now, I will say this. I've seen all the rumors and the kind of reporting on Brady wanting to be in San Francisco, and I've seen, Mike Florio has had some of that. I have not personally corroborated any of that. Now, maybe my sources are not as good. I've had no one tell me that he actually wants to play for San Fran.
Well, what about Tampa, though? I mean, because clearly their quarterback decision may be just, we got Gabbard. He knows the system. It's entirely possible that they might shock everybody and go back to Jameis, which, would kind of be a bit of a surprise. But what if they just maintain the status quo and now suddenly it's June, and then we give Tom a call and say, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it would not be the first big-time quarterback to decide right around June to start a training camp. Yeah, I think I'm just going to play. The other thing is, I would expect him to be looking around and taking a big swing elsewhere anyway, like Deshaun Watson. If I don't think Russell Wilson said on the Today Show that he wants to play on the West Coast, so it sounds like no Russ. But, I would think they would take a swing at Deshaun Watson if his legal situation clears up. So I would kind of keep an eye on that as well.
And what about last two for you? Wentz and Derek Carr. What do you got for me?
I don't believe Derek Carr is going anywhere.
Okay.
I know teams would like him to go anywhere, but I just don't see that happening.
Okay.
Carson Wentz is, like all the other quarterback situations, are awesome and fun and fascinating and mind-numbing and all of those things. Wentz might be the most interesting to me because I have no earthly idea what the Colts are going to do. And I know they want to get better. I know they want to improve upon Carson. I don't know who that's going to be, and I don't know how it makes sense, given the money, to just cut him and then sign like Mitchell Trubisky or something. I mean, I guess theoretically they could do anything you want, but are we sure that that's better, and are we sure that's worth it considering the money? They're in a very, very, very difficult spot, and unless I'm missing something dramatic, I don't see how they get out of it with a clear path toward a franchise quarterback.
Man, and Carolina just sticks with Sam Darnold, or they do something? Because Washington's YOLOing, right? Washington's doing the YOLO plan. They're calling everybody. This is amazing.
Calling everyone.
Right.
I think Carolina's in the quarterback mix too. I think Deshaun Watson will probably be in on some level.
Well, when are we going to get some sort of? That's literally the fourth time you've mentioned his name. But and I just when does that get settled or even solidified or even remotely close in the area of him being a viable option? When does that happen?
I think they would like his legal situation to be cleared up, and there is a possibility that in the next several weeks the criminal matters get decided. Is he going to be charged or is he not? It's been forever. Maybe we'll get to draft time and we'll still be talking about it like we were last year.
Right.
It's been so long that at some point when we're not talking about Deshaun Watson, it's going to feel very weird to me.
Ian Rapoport, thanks for the time. Great to see you in Indianapolis, and look for my call again. It's going to be pretty busy. So thanks for the time.
All right. Always great hanging out on the phone, but more so in person.
That's exactly right.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Good to see you. There you go. There's Ian Rapoport, who I was sitting next to at dinner last night. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.